So this is actually my first time speaking about mobile games, so bear with me with a couple of things here. I'm an indie developer. As you mentioned, we've come out with a couple of titles. Today I'm going to talk mostly on user acquisition design. The last guy that was just here did a great job on some of those points that I'll be pointing out as well, kind of more or less on the indie side, actual person who produced the game. So a little bit, I'll go through a couple of things, talk about myself, talk about some of our games, talk about the design of some of our games, and then as well as current market conditions, user acquisition, promotion, and then talk about the game that we just released today into the mobile market. So I founded this gaming company in 2013. We currently have 3 games, 1 flagship game called Kelso's Quest, which we are currently demoing in the indie room, and 2 casual games. Toasty Boy was the one that's out, and then we have a new one out called Flyby. He mentioned a couple things about me. I was part of a diagnostic tool company that we provided to Fortune 500 companies, and then after that, I moved into gaming in 2013. Fun facts just about me. I've done a couple different things. Obviously, I'm also a licensed real estate broker, so if you need a house sold, I can help you with that too. So it's a little bit about me. So I want to go into a couple things. Toasty Boy is essentially kind of our Flappy Bird test trial game. It was the first game before we wanted to release Kelso. We wanted to give ourselves an opportunity to see how markets work, how the App Store functions, and see what we could do there. I'm going to show a couple quick videos because I believe that promotion in video is extremely important as an indie developer, and it doesn't have a lot of cost associated with it if you can do it correctly. So I'm going to show you a couple and show you where we've progressed until now. So here's the first one. Not sure if you can hear that. Simple. We just kind of wanted to show something, a little bit about the game. What is it you don't know? That's a problem. You don't want to do that. I'm telling you, don't do that. If you don't show gameplay, you're not helping yourself out. Gameplay is everything when it comes to people searching for a game. So that one didn't work. The second one I'm going to show you, we tried another method. Before I realized that gameplay was so important. It's on an ad. It was featured by Pixelanemy. They put it on there, so we'll skip that. We went for more of a dry humor, trying something a little bit different.
Buttery. I don't play sports. I play games. Buttery. I'm better than basketball. I'm better than yoga. I'm better than walking. I'm better than these birds. Flapping around. I'm better. And so is Toasty Boy. So be better like me. Play Toasty Boy on your smartphone. Toasty.
So as you can see, we went for more of the real version. The problem with that, again, we don't have gameplay. Even though we're trying to make fun, make some comedy, you weren't grabbing the user base that you needed. So people that did watch them found that humorous aren't about to play games. So you kind of had a weird contrasting dynamic, but I had to do that to figure it out. Then we came out with Kelso's Quest. So we figured some of these things out. We went a little bit, we got to number 2 on Touch Arcade's hot list, and I'll go into that a little bit later on how we did that. We got 4.5-star reviews on it, and we went for more of an in-depth kind of video. I'm not going to show it all because it's a bit lengthy, but I'll show a little bit of it. So we had a full trailer, created it, told the story about it, and then also created it into more of a gameplay trailer. So this is the actual gameplay of Kelso's Quest. Okay. And so that gameplay trailer did much better. I think you see we got 30,000 hits on it, but there's still a problem. it didn't show gameplay quick enough, and it's too long. Users only want to spend about 30 seconds looking at whatever you're showing them. So you want to go shorter with it. However, it still did do pretty well and helped us quite a bit. I'll go into that. So I showed you kind of the gameplay you saw. It's a push block game. You're moving around. It's for your iPad or your iPhone. And so we kind of went with this big project. It took 8 months to build it. We had some issues going back and forth. Then there was this whole line pathing we did, which was great, and it needed to happen. So as a user, if you were going to go with a joystick, a virtual joystick, just end right there. Don't do a virtual joystick. I'm sure you've heard that before on a touch screen. So make sure you go with something that's a little bit more organic, like we did with line pathing. Then also, my opinion is 3D games are still not as good as 2D games. No, let me rephrase that, not as good, but for the casual user, I think they're more interested in a 2D looking game than necessarily a 3D looking game. So we have this big game that we built, took 8 months. You know, I was going to go deep into monetization, but at the end of the day, I'm an indie, and I always said, what does an indie know about monetization? You know, I mean, we know a decent amount from what we've learned, what we're going through, but, you know, especially when you're in, we're still tweaking that. So some of the things I found that vanity items didn't work great. In my case, one-time consumables worked really well, and with Kelso, if you saw how it was, it's individual level-based. And one of our biggest purchases, and I'll give you a little insight, is actually to pass the level. We gave the user additional coins at the same time, but they spent money to pass the level, even though every level in Kelso's Quest is beatable without any in-app purchases. So it was just interesting to see that kind of that frustration and how users would balance that. So it's good to know, test it, A/B test, as they always tell you, what kind of your purchases are when you acquire users and kind of follow those trends. So the last person that was here, I'm sure, talked a lot about user acquisition, kind of where it was, and exploding the game and going viral and those kind of sort of things. You know, I kind of agree with what he said, that as an indie, it can be tough to do the free-to-play model, and that actually doing purchase at the top is not a bad idea at this point, because it's just so hard, even though 98% of games in the top 100 are free-to-play. So not a bad idea. Know what your game is. If your game's very complex, maybe you want to go with that, you know, paid version at the start, because users expect to pay for something for quality if it looks like quality. A little bit about this: when you're making a decision, if you're entering the game market, on whether or not you want to go for a complex game or you want to go for a casual game, I instantly say go casual. Spend a month. Don't spend 8 months doing it. Figure out what works, what doesn't work, iterate, make these changes, follow the trends, and kind of see where everything's going, because it happens so quickly. And so it goes back to the model of keep it simple. You want to go one mechanic gameplay, make it ad-driven, and small in size. This is a point that I harp on, is the size of the game is so important to getting downloads. If the game is over 30 megs, that user is going to download your game because they're seeking to download your game. They won't casually download your game if it's that big, because they look at it and it can take 15 minutes to download and they're not willing to do it, so they'll close it out. And I've seen this through everything I've done promotion-wise. Experiment, take chances. You know, you see Crappy Bird, make a joke. People like jokes, especially in casual games. Casual games are meant to be funny, unique, interesting. So don't be afraid to make those decisions. Like I said, so now here's where I get into how we got kind of some good publicity for Kelso's Quest and got to #2 in the hot list without spending any money. Is we created a promotional gameplay package with art, all those assets. We put a great little video together, the one that you saw we had in there, and we sent it to probably 250 different blogs. And we just did it. We pelted it as hard as we could, and then I got a call. One of my friends said, "Hey, you're #2 on Touch Arcade," you know, and then from there we started. All of a sudden, I saw a spike in downloads, and maybe there were some other things I couldn't see all 250 we sent to, so that's kind of where I started noticing kind of these trends change. So that's part of what I say is if you can't spend money, if you don't have a big marketing budget, take some time and send those emails off, and don't be scared of any backlash, because at the end of the day, people understand it's your game, it's your baby. You try, you push hard, put it out there. You can't be scared to do that, and you got to spend time. So this is where it gets to our third release, and that's Flyby. It just got to the market last night. We've already put together a gameplay packet. We're doing some other promotion on the side as well as this package. And then what I said is, make a video. It's really important to make a video that's short, catchy, and can really be taken in about 30 seconds. Okay, so that's kind of the things that I've found in my first year, or what you can do that doesn't require a lot of money and gives you the best opportunity to get to the top of the store. I would say, obviously, yes, getting featured, as the person put before me, is the holy grail. Like, if you get featured, you can look at 100,000 downloads, especially in a casual game. You're looking at a huge opportunity right there when you get featured. The best way to get featured is to get pushed on, Touch Arcade and things like that. I believe that advertisements within your game definitely hinder your opportunity of becoming featured. So what I've seen is Apple likes to have kind of clean, transparent games when looking at featured. So those are things. Take chances, have a little bit of humor, and then make sure that you put together a game packet and send it to as many people as possible, and leverage social media to the best. Because even sitting, when I was here at the indie booth, somebody came up to me, I've seen your game somewhere, I've seen it here, and I heard that a couple times, and I predict that's based a lot off of our social media. So that's kind of what I've seen in my first year going through it, and kind of the positives we put together. And so this is any of my contact information. If anybody has any questions, go for it.
All right, questions?
How big is your development team right now?
We're 6 people.
6 people? But how big was it when you guys started? Just
We kind of started off as 2 and then just grew to 6.
So your background is pretty interesting, from going from real estate to mobile games. I think that's pretty awesome. Has that helped you in any way, or?
I would say the biggest thing I got from doing that, from going from real estate and then diagnostic tool, is from a business end. I'll say there's definitely been some ability to be able to converse a little bit more than being necessarily. I've talked to a lot of older people than myself, and have had that ability to kind of interact pretty well. So I'd say that is probably the biggest thing. Obviously, in gaming, that's not super crucial, but it has its bonuses, though, definitely. Any other questions?
What's the kind of stuff you were doing on Touch Arcade? Were you involved with the forums a lot, or were you actively talking to people? What was that impetus?
So I would say that I kept following up with Touch Arcade, emailing, like I said, that game packet to everybody. And then once you get to Touch Arcade, if you do get on that hot list, it is so crucial to interact with the other users on that forum to stay up there, because you can get a good run there. I know that's kind of side of what you're asking, but I'm not entirely sure exactly how I got that high on Touch Arcade, but I know that those were the steps I took prior to it, and that's kind of the best information I can give you.
Any other questions?
Anything?
So what's that packet consist of?
Packet consists of unique art. You definitely want to show gameplay. Keep it small. They're only going to look about 6 or 7 images. So make sure you have gameplay as like the first or second along with the title screen, and just some additional art always goes a long way too in the video.
What development system did you use to get cross-platform?
For cross, we use Cocos.
I'm sorry?
Cocos 2D.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Aside from the hindrance to being featured, have you done any kind of ads in your games?
We've done them, and that's just, it's tough to get in-app purchases in a casual game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we haven't gotten featured. I'd say there's some decisions I've made, and of course you're looking at hindsight with Kelso. I think we had a good opportunity to be featured, but because we did have a couple ads, I'm trying to point why we didn't quite get that feature, even though if you look at Touch Arcade, anything that's been at like number 2 has ended up being featured. So I'm trying to find that solution as to, you know, why we didn't quite get that feature. But, so.
Did you find that you were using ads? Did you guys use iAd or other ads?
No, we didn't. We didn't have banner ads for, well, originally for Toasty Boy we didn't. We actually just redid all of our games with iAds, so we didn't.
Any kind of?
It's been 1 day since they've been in there, so it's a little soon.
We'll ask you next year.
Yeah, there you go. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
We're done.